Hey everybody, it is Kendéll and Lenice. Welcome to More Than Just a Movie, where we break down classic films. Started a little later right now, but we are still on T Jams. I'm not sure what's going on. This is MT Jams. Welcome. Leroy, can you hear me?
Yeah, you're good.
Okay, I just want to make sure. Basine,
Yeah,
if
I
you're
think there's a
watching, can
delay
you hear
too.
me? Why? I'm telling you. Okay, can you hear me?
Yeah, I think you have a delay though.
It's a delay.
For you, yeah, because I can hear you, but you don't seem to hear me for another couple seconds once I finish.
Yeah, I don't hear you. I just want to make sure everything is good. When I took my device, I did a remote show yesterday, and Lord, please allow this Wi-Fi to keep on pushing. All right. Hope, can you hear me?
Yeah, you're good. I can hear you fine.
Okay. All right. So yeah, it's a little I'm a little off today. I'm so sleepy. I'm fasting all week, so I haven't eaten. I'm just tired because Leroy, I've been doing 50, 11 things. My body's aching, but like the song say, I won't complain. The show goes on. All right, I'm excited about this show. Let's get into More Than Just a Movie, where we break down classic Black films. I am excited because we are talking about some 80s classics that we grew up on. When I say we, Leroy and our generation, we grew up on Crush Groove, Beach Street, and Breaking. So let's get right into More Than Just a Movie, where we break down classic. Praying for a second. All right, because I prayed before and I was like, oh, did I say my prayer? Because I be praying for this show. I be praying that it touches somebody, and I be praying for Wi-Fi, because you know Wi-Fi does what it wants sometimes. But we're usually good on this show. All right, so the first movie, we're going to start kind of with, my little trivia. The first movie I'm talking about, 1984 came out. Tanya Pinkins was in the movie. She went
Well, you
later
gotta
on to.
remember this. Wait, you gotta remember there were two of them that came out in
That's
'84.
why
So,
I'm giving hints. I'm giving
okay,
hints.
okay.
So this one, and this is my own little trivia. So 1984, this one came out. It was directed by Sanaa Lathan's daddy. I believe I saw Wesley Snipes in there and Tanya Pinkins. Wesley Snipes was a dancer. This is just my little trivia. And it is now streaming on Paramount Plus. That's number one. The other one came out in 1984. Me and somebody in the movie had the same name. One of the legends in this movie danced on Soul Train and was married to Leela Rashawn. Again, this is my trivia. That's 1984. The other movie came out in 1985. We had the young Fat Boys in there. We had Sheila E. We had Run DMC, a young LL Cool J. My boys New Edition were at the talent show at Disco Fever singing, "Did you get it yet? Did you get it yet? Ooh, my secret." All right. So number one, what was the number one that I named, Leroy? Let's see if you got it.
That was B Street.
Yeah! Woo Woo! What's the number 2 one I talked about?
That was Breaking.
Yeah. And of course, what is number 3?
Yeah, number 3 is Crush Groove. That's
Yes,
that's
yes. This is my
yeah.
brother, Dr. Leroy McKenzie Jr. We just be coming on talking. I am Kendéll, Lenice, the remix coach. That is the impact builder right there, the connector, the network master, Dr. Leroy McKenzie Jr. We don't usually talk about our titles on this show because on this show, we're just movie buffs that love classic Black films. So I don't know
Absolutely.
why I end up saying that because we don't even talk about that on the show. But can I get a mention of a movie before we get started?
Say it again.
Can
No,
I
I
give
didn't
an
hear what you said.
honorable mention movie before we get started?
Yeah,
An honorable
absolutely.
mention. I have to include the Fat Boys Disorderlies.
You know what? It's funny you say that because I was gonna go into in our conversation, and I don't know if you looked at this and looking at these 3 movies. Breaking was the movie I think that opened the door for these type of movies. The where you
It
had
did.
the kind of the hip hop actor type of things, and Disorderly. That's one of my favorite movies. That's actually a really really good
Let me tell
movie.
you, that's why you're my brother. That's why you're my brother. I went to the movies to see Disorderlies like
Did
5
you?
times back then. That is my movies. If you don't
Yeah,
know about Disorderlies, man, oh man, I said I gotta talk about Disorderlies with the Fat
yeah,
Boys.
yeah.
I
And I thought
love the
about that too.
Fat Boys.
Yeah, and the thing is, and I know we had a time when we talked about this movie, but the movie Baps reminded me of Disorderlies, and that take on
Yeah,
them taking care of the
yeah.
older, take the because they were orderlies and they would they just didn't know nothing, but same way that Holly
Yes.
Berry and what's the name, they really had no idea of how to take care of somebody and everything like that. They had this big plot
No,
of trying to kill
no,
the elderly person. It was just
no.
some very similar. It's very similar movies and how they did it. And I just
Yeah,
thought it was yeah, but you're definitely right. That's definitely
it
an
is.
honorable mention. Disorderlies, man. That I haven't seen it in a long time, but that's
Me,
definitely one
but
we
I
should
think we
we
need
definitely
to
want to
see
mention.
it. I think we need to see it. Leroy, I think let me look at Disorderlies for a second. I see that's why you my brother. I'm telling you. I'm telling you. That's one of my movies and I literally went to the movies in the 80s to see that multiple times. Like 5 times. Like all my friends first I went to go see it. And then look,
Cause
why
that
did I
was
look up
cause that was the
why did I
late
look
was that the late '80s when that came out?
yes. Why did I look up Disorderlies and it said fat burner or they're not even saying the right one. Now, come on, y'all better have Disorderlies on here. Um, it came out in 1987, so this was after,
19. I'm sorry, you were breaking up.
and we didn't
1980 what?
mention that, but 1987.
Oh, okay, that's what, I was thinking 87, 88. I was thinking 88, but okay.
Yep. So let me just talk about that real quick. That was a budget of $5 million. It made double that. It made $10,348 $1,000, and it came out
10 million.
August 87. Over 10.
10 million. You said 10,000.
10. Oh, I'm sorry. that would have been a success. I told you I'm tired, Leroy. I told you. Lord have mercy. And I'm in pain. I got, oh my gosh, $10 million over. That's so funny. I said 10,000 with a straight face. So when I think about that, let's have an honorable mention before we get started. I remember when that movie came out, Leroy. And people were like, they're clowning, it's buffoonery. They're selling out for the white people. They're fat boys. I remember them saying that. Do you remember any of that news?
No, I don't remember any negativity about it because I actually thought it was a great movie. It was a great concept with the movie, and you had, I mean, that's Hollywood. They have a built-in audience because they were the Fat Boys, and they were one of the hottest rap groups. Think about it, they were one of the hottest rap groups. Yeah, with the beatbox and Prince Marky, and I forgot the other guy's name.
Prince Marky D.
Yeah, Prince Marky D. The beatbox, and I forgot the other guy's name. Because all three of them have passed away, aren't they?
Yes, and Prince Marky D was the last one.
Okay.
No, the other one's not. The other one's not. The other one is not. Really? He's still here. Cool Rock Ski.
Okay. Because I know the beatbox, he passed away. Yeah, he passed away some years ago. Yeah. Because he had some health issues.
Yeah, and then Prince Marky D in recent years.
But man, I mean, the Fat Boys were one of the hottest rap groups back in that mid to late '80s, man. Yeah. And that's probably where that came from. Where that came from, the idea to do the movie, because Hollywood's looking for a built-in audience. They want butts in the seat. You know what I'm saying? And with them being who they were, and like I said, it was a nice concept, great concept of the movie, and it showed that they could act as well too. You know what I'm saying? So
yeah,
yeah,
and they did. You're right, because they were successful. They were in Krush Groove, which we'll talk about, but they had, like you said, the built-in audience, and at the same time, not to be funny, because I love the Fat Boys, but for mainstream, it was gimmicky.
Yeah.
And Hollywood likes a gimmick, so people were saying, they're making fun of them, where the Fat Boys were kind of like celebrated. They were just big, but they were celebrated. It wasn't like a gimmick per se, except when they did All You Can Eat. So they played into that themselves. So if Hollywood, whenever he's eating that pizza, all you can eat.
You can eat.
Let me tell you, Fat Boys are back. That is the jam. And they can never be whack. Fat Boys are back. Come on now. That was the jam. That was a jam. All right. So let's get into Beat Street. Let's talk about it. So let's talk about it. So Beat Street, King of the Beat, rocking that beat from across the street. Remember that? So for those who don't know, first of all, young children, younger adults, this is the culture. Everybody's talking about doing it for the culture. The culture. Right. This is the culture. Okay, authentically, not to of course they got to put elements of Hollywood in there. But when I say this was authentic, I mean the tagging of the trains, the break dancing, the style in the dress, the language, the walk, the Lee jeans. Remember, all of that. That's the culture. That's how it started. Go ahead, Leroy.
I had the flavor. I had the flavor jeans. I
got one up on you. I used to be the one that sewed in the creases for the people.
No, oh, did you? I had the crease. I had the crease in mine though. I
would take a needle and thread. A needle. I would iron it real sharp, right? Real sharp. And then on that iron part, I would get the needle and thread and go down the whole leg so it can have that sewn in crease. That's how we used to do it in Jersey. And the crease stayed. You wash it.
Really? Okay.
Yes, the sewn in crease.
Yeah.
Man, oh man. All right.
I mean,
no, go ahead.
Now, Chaos One said this years ago, and he talked about hip hop. And hip hop is like he said, it was a culture. And what we mean by culture, for those that were born in the 80s and were born in the 2000s, y'all might not know about this, but the culture was, it was breakdancing, it was DJing, and it was graffiti art. That was the culture.
Yep.
That was
That was
MC, and I'm sorry, and the last part, which is what we'll talk about in each of these, was battling. They battled. They went from what, from one side of the town to the other side of the town, or
mm-hmm,
wherever you had different things, and we'll talk about those in a couple of the
mm-hmm.
movies here. But that was the culture. That was
Yeah.
what it was. Walking
Yeah.
around with the big radio, with the big
Yeah.
radios
Yeah.
on your shoulder. That
It
was
was
that
almost
was what when we say for the culture.
yeah, but and that was a good
Yeah.
explanation. But think about this, and I'm just thinking about this for the first time as you were talking. So
Hmm.
remember the Motown days in Detroit. We weren't alive
Hmm.
when that first started, right? But
Right.
remember when
Right.
we see the Temptation movies and we see
Hmm.
documentaries, every corner had a singer or a doo-wop group.
Yep.
Like everybody
Yep.
could sing. If you went down here, you would see this person doing this. You would see this person singing that. That's how it was with us growing up with
Yep.
hip hop. Think about it. I know where you would see, I would go on the boardwalk in Atlantic City, New Jersey. People would have their cardboard out there, break dancing. Then I would see, then I would see, somebody rapping on the corner or battling each other, right? Then I would see some DJ at a party that's happening. Then I would see, you know what I mean? Think about that. Think
Hmm.
about that.
Yep.
But talk about
Absolutely.
beach. But I'll be right back. But talk about until I come back, what Beach Street means to you when you seen that movie. What did that mean to you?
Yeah. Well, here's the thing, and Kendéll mentioned it for 1 second, and I'm going to say it again, and I'm going to ask her when she comes back. But I know Stan Lathan was one of the directors for Beach Street, who is, for y'all that may not be familiar, Stan Lathan is Sanaa Lathan's father, and he also was it was the director or writer for shows back in the 70s, like Sanford and Son. I don't know if he did the Jeffersons or not, but he produced, or he was a producer on a lot of those shows from back in the 70s. But like I said, I know it was Sanford and Son for sure, but I think Good Times as well. And it might have been the Jeffersons. I'm not sure, but Kendall, I was talking about Stan Lathan, and Sanai's father, and
Mhm.
how he was the director. He was the
Yeah,
director, one of the directors for Beach Street, which
yeah.
I didn't know. And I'm gonna throw this in there too. I don't know if you saw this or not, but this was also produced by Harry Belafonte.
Yes, yes. When I went and with researching back then, I didn't know that.
Yeah,
As I
me
was
either.
researching this, because we were just happy to have a movie with
Yep.
them doing the stuff that we love. So
Right.
I didn't even think about, oh, Harry, I saw that and I was like, what?
I
What?
know. I said, wow. So that goes to show you, and you got to think back in the 80s. Mr. Belafonte might have been, what, in his 60s, because he's in his 80s. He might have been like in his 50s,
Mm-hmm.
because he's
Mm-hmm.
in his like late 80s, early 90s. No, 90. I think he's 90. I think he's 94, 95.
Yeah,
Um, so you got to think that was some 40, 50 years ago. So he
right,
was probably in his 50s. So to have that, and that
right.
just shows you the greatness of him, because him,
Yeah.
and he had done, he was Harry Belafonte back in the 80s. He'd been at Mr. Harry Belafonte
Harry
for
Belafonte, been
years.
Harry Belafonte in.
For
So,
years. But
yeah,
when I saw that, I was like, wow. I was like, man, he was a part of this project. I'm like, that's
right.
cool. You know
It is
that he
cool.
was a part of the project. So.
So think about, and I'm glad that you brought that up, Leroy. Think about this: June 8th, 1984. I was getting ready to graduate from 8th grade into high school because I started
Hmm.
high school 85. So it was 105 minutes long. Even in 84, because of the culture. They granted them a budget of $9.5 million to do this movie. And in 84, this movie made $16.6 million at the box office. Rae Dawn Chong was in it. She was everything back in the day. If you know who Cheech and Chong is her daddy.
Yeah, Chong is her daddy. And for y'all that don't know Cheech and Chong,
they might not even know. Some of the young ones may not even know who Rae Dawn is.
Yeah, you're right. Yeah, but y'all ain't never seen no Cheech and Chong movies.
Man, old school Miss Alice, Mary Alice, that just passed away. She was in it. Guy Davis was the main guy in it. You know, a lot of people you may not know, but like I said, there's a lot of cameos in there because I know saw Wesley Snipes started off as a dancer. Most people don't know that.
But tell him. Wait a minute. Don't just skip over that. Tell him what video Wesley Snipes was in as a dancer.
What? No, that was Don Cheadle. I was going to say, was it? It was bad. It was Michael Jackson. Wasn't he in the train station?
Who's bad? Who's bad?
Look, our memory naturally in trivia. I didn't even know you were going to ask that. That's crazy how it downloads back, right?
Who's bad? You ain't bad.
You ain't nothing.
You ain't nothing.
You ain't bad. You ain't nothing.
But did you see that your boy?
Go ahead.
Did you see that your boy was in here too?
Who's my boy?
From Different World.
What, as a dancer? Wait a minute.
I don't think he was a dancer. I think he was just Kadeem Hardison.
Oh, yes. And let me say something about Kadeem Hardison. You go back to a lot of movies back in the day, like in our generation. He pops up.
But see, here's the thing, and I'm going to mention him really quickly, but when it comes to folks and seeing people don't realize Michael B. Jordan is the same way.
He was in a Wire.
And I don't know if it was before or after The Wire, but he was on, somebody said he was on the soap opera All My Children.
Yeah, he was.
So you got these movies that
Nia Long was on Guiding Light because I used to watch it. Her name was.
I think I heard about that too.
When I used to come home from school, because my mom worked evenings at her job, and I remember when I would come home from school on certain days, she would be watching Guiding Light, and that's the only one that my mom and all my children, sometimes both of them. So when I would catch it, her name was Kat on there, and she was my age. So and she was a black girl, you know, that wasn't happening back then.
Yeah.
And I remember watching it, and it's so funny. I was just like, wow, when you look back and you see all of these people, but the beautiful thing is they're still working.
Yeah.
They're still working.
And that's the good thing, that you can see how, I mean, because you're talking, this is probably the beginning of a lot of their careers.
Yeah.
You know, back in the mid 80s. So
So let me set the stage and the plot of this movie, just in case
before you jump
and forgot.
Before you jump, did you give you gave the budget, but did you give the box office?
Yeah, it says 16.6
million. That's right. Yeah, no, you did. Yeah, you did. So
6 million.
That's some good numbers. Yeah, that's some good numbers.
Yes. So this is what it's about. It says budding disc jockey. For all you young heads that don't know, a disc jockey is a DJ. And MC, that's the rapper. Look, we're going to have to do a whole 80s rap.
Right?
Kenny Double K Kirkland is hired as a featured DJ at the house party, right? At a house party at an abandoned building, accompanied by his best friend, Raymond Franco. He's a graffiti artist known as, his tag is Ramo. And his friend manager, Chloe, Kenny's younger brother, Lee, crashes the party with his dance crew, the Beach Street Breakers, who begin sparring with the rival crew, because there's always a rival crew, the Bronx Riders. The next day, Chloe informs Kenny of complimentary tickets to the Roxy, one of Manhattan's most popular nightclubs, which is real. Meanwhile, Raymond's dad, Domingo, implores his son to get a job because back then they didn't think that this could actually be a job. Ain't that something? Like, this wasn't a commodity that could make you money and you can have a career.
Right. Right.
Meanwhile, Raymond's father, he implores him to get a job and to marry Carmen, who is his baby mama, right? So it goes on and on and on. They battle. Lee performs, but he gets rejected. He's the little brother. Let me see where I want to go. Walking home. Let me go right down to real. Well, should I tell him what happens to Raymond?
Yeah. I mean, this one, yeah.
So, where do I want to start? So, Raymond gets in the fight. He's tagging a train. They get into a fight. The two chase him through the subway tunnels. The fight ensues. Spit sprays in Raymond's eyes, and both tussle around with the gun, and eventually kills Raymond instantly. So at Raymond's funeral, Kenny contemplates forgoing the Roxy because, of course, his best friend is no longer here. And then they go on to kind of, they go on to dance and play and DJ in his honor. But what do you want to add to it? I'm trying to just make it light so we can talk about it.
No. I'm good. I'm good with that. I mean, because I don't have anything that I want to add to it. I just, only thing I'll say is just, I think that era, for those that are younger, of the younger generation, and you're listening to us and this makes absolutely no sense to you all, understand that this was the beginnings of hip hop.
As we're in its 50th anniversary year.
Yeah. It was the origin. Hip hop started in the mid to late 70s, but it didn't gain traction until the mid 80s. And that's where you have these movies that we're talking about today came from, because the culture was beginning to beginning to go mainstream.
Yeah.
It was starting to catch on to other communities other than our communities.
Yeah.
So when we're talking about these types of well, you'll see in the connection in all three of these movies, there's gonna be a thread of all of them. All of them going to talk about DJs. All of them going to talk about graffiti. All of them going to talk about battles. That's what the story. That's what the formula was for these movies that they were. So that's what I'll add to it. Yeah.
I have a proposition for you. God just dropped something in my spurt. This is the 50th anniversary of hip hop, right? So this is what I propose next week. Instead of doing more than just a movie in our time slot, let's do a special hip hop edition, like a 50th. Let's just do celebrating 50 years of hip hop. Let's just talk about some of the history. So since we're doing some of that, and then some of the songs. What you think?
I love it. I'm down. I'm down for it. I'm for it. I love hip hop. And it's like I said, it was just a part of our growing up. It was a part. It is nowhere. What it is today, hip hop today is nothing like. It looks nothing like what it did 50 years ago.
No,
absolutely nothing like what it looks like 50 years ago. And the origins. Do you remember the first hip hop song that you recall listening to?
I sang every word. Of course, it was Rapper's Delight, Apache. It was all of that. I remember being in the 5th grade, right? And my aunt was looking at me to say, and she was like, "How do you know all the lyrics to that song like that? And you're a little kid." Man, the chicken tastes like wood. Come on. I mean, and then Apache to us was all that before Fresh Prince. The little kids think it's about Fresh Prince, or you go to a game and you're doing it. But Apache was the jam.
Jam on it.
Wiggy, wiggy, wiggy. Shut up. Wiggy, 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 wiggy. Man. So right here, y'all, you hear it. We are going to do a celebration of hip hop. Maybe towards the end, maybe we'll see if we can invite people who love hip hop, but they got to really love hip hop to maybe get our last 10 minutes or 15 minutes of our show. If you ain't really no hip hop head from back then you can't be on that show.
Yeah.
You
got to be a hip hop head.
I think I know that song. Nope. Don't know none of the lyrics. Nope. You ain't on here. What's a DJ? Nope. This is going to be for real, because we know hip hop. All right, so let's move along so we can start. Look, I've been fasting, like I said, all week, and I can't eat until 6. But I
was going to say, what kind of fast you doing?
A liquid fast, from 6 a.m. to 6 p.m.
6
just
p.m.
nothing but liquid. But my Bible study is doing it. But this is the thing.
You're doing it for you're doing it for what's it called? Not Ash Wednesday.
We're just doing it.
Really? Okay.
For all the other fasting, benefits.
How long y'all doing it? How long y'all doing it up to Easter?
No, we're just doing a week. We've done it. We do it like often. I have like a weekly Bible study I do Monday through Friday, virtually. So, but we're just doing it this week. The one that heads it, shout out to Danella. She heads it. So not heads it, but it's her thing.
Gotcha.
But every day you would think that at 6 o'clock I'm ready, but I'm doing a show or I'm doing something. So it's usually later than 6 o'clock. And today it'll probably be 6:15. So man, but I'm hungry though. I'm hungry.
Yeah, we'll make sure we get you out of here.
Right. So all right, let's talk about breaking. So breaking is also known as break dancing. That's the breaking. I will save my stories and talk about my little hip hop group with my cousin and the dancing. I'll save that for next week. So yeah, we had a little, I was the popper. Yeah, we'll talk about that. But let me just say, Breaking came out in 1984, and the girl's name was Special K, and that was my dance name. That's all I'm saying. It was Special K.
That was her name when she was with the hip hop brothers, when she was with Ozone and Turbo. But what was her real name?
The real name, Ozone and Turbo. Everybody at first was like, what does this white girl know about dancing? Why is she in breaking? She shouldn't be here. She got a leotard on. She's a jazz student. And they talk about that. And even Turbo, Ozone was looking at her. And that's Shabba-Doo. And Shabba-Doo, he just passed away recently also, but he used to be married to Lela Rashawn. That was her first husband.
Really? Oh wow! I didn't know that. Okay.
Yeah, and he also danced as one of the breakers on Soul Train with Rerun.
And I can see that. I can see that.
Because in the 70s, the Soul Train, remember they had the they're not called the breakers. What were they called? The pop lockers, the poppers.
Yeah.
With Rerun from What's Happening. But so it's called breaking because it's a break dancing is short for that. It came out in 84, right? And it came out May 4th, 1984. It was only 87 minutes. It started off with a budget of 1.2 million. And this movie in 1984 made 38.7.
That was crazy. When I saw that number, I was like, but see, that's why I was saying that this movie broke that door wide open for them, because I promise you, Hollywood looked at those numbers and said, "Oh, okay." They was like, cha-ching, cha-ching, cha-ching.
Man,
this breaking thing is going somewhere.
Think about it. It's going. You give them 1.2 million to do this movie, and they end up returning your investment 38.7. And that's why they did a Breakin' 2 Electric Boogaloo.
Right. And people say, well, why are they doing a Creed 3? And they gave the numbers for what Creed 1 and 2 did. Numbers off the chain. I was like, yeah, that's why they're doing a Creed 3. Because the numbers are there.
Man, what you talking about? That's why they did it. Because if you made that, if you make if you give 1.2, if I'm giving somebody $1.2 million and they say, trust me, I can quadruple. I don't even know what 5 is.
Nah, that's beyond quadruple.
I don't even know. I don't even have the language. What is, if it's 6druple?
They gave them back. The return on that investment was let's give it $37 million times.
Like 90, almost.
37 times the amount of money that it cost to make that movie.
I don't know that percentage.
Now that's a low budget. That's a low budget movie. But the return is ridiculous.
That's ridiculous. Now let me loan somebody that money and to start their business, and they say, I promise you, or I don't even know, but I know that I could at least double it. Just that's probably what was the basis. If we could at least double this, then we're a win. They probably were like, maybe we'll be lucky if we can triple it. That's how they were probably looking. Well, we ain't gonna lose. We might, if we don't do anything, we definitely gonna get our money back. But just imagine somebody saying, Leroy. So remember when I said that I was going to double that or triple that? Man, everything that you wanted to do, you could do, because I'm going to give you $38.7 million.
Back. Yeah.
So let me set this, and then we'll go on to Crush through. The film setting was inspired by a 1983 documentary titled Breaking and Entering. Set in the multiracial hip-hop club Radiotron, based on MacArthur's Park in LA. Many of the artists and dancers from said documentary included Ice-T, who makes a debut in this movie. Michael Boogaloo Shrimp Chambers went straight from breaking and entering to breaking. The film soundtrack featured Breakin', There's No Stopping Us. And so the plot of
I love that song.
Right, I know. So the plot is protagonist Kelly Bennett, who is Special K, is a young dancer training under an instructor in Venice, California, right? Venice, California, I'm sorry. Through her friend Adam, Kelly meets two street dancers, Ozone and Turbo. Man, Ozone and Turbo is part of our language. When we talk about the 80s, you can't talk of you. I mean, when this came out, man, we was talking about Ozone and Turbo and doing this stuff in school. I was in the 8th grade, I remember. And we were just talking about Ozone and Turbo. Come on now. That went alongside with the Cosby Show. That went alongside with what was the Kate and Allie, that little show. That went alongside like so many different things. It was a part of our everyday language.
Yeah, I mean, and that was the thing about Breaking, because out of the three, Breaking is probably about the favorite one. Then Crush Groove, because Crush Groove just had all of the hip hop artists in it and everything like that. But Breaking, to me, it made a difference because, and I don't know if this is for you or not too, but it fused breakdancing and ballet, because Kelly, that's what made her different. That's what made what they did different, because she added the concept, she added the part of ballet into the breakdancing, which the rival crews couldn't do. They couldn't do that. They had a female dancer. Right. You can remember, because the first time that Ozone and Turbo battled the what was it, the electric Boogaloo gang?
Electro Rock.
Electric Rock. Yeah, when they were battling them and they brought the girl out, they was like they couldn't do anything. But then Ozone and Turbo was like, wait a minute, hold up. Let's talk to this shorty that we got introduced to by their friend, and teach her a little bit of what we do,
Yep.
infuse it with what she already does.
Yep.
That's that balance that you get,
Yep.
and it's somewhat, yeah, if you want to I kind of correlate it to being able to, people were talking about yesterday, being streetwise and being book smart,
Mm-hmm.
and having a little
Exactly.
bit of both,
Yeah.
kind of having a little bit of both. They
Yeah.
they were talking about women. They were saying women want a dude that's got some street, that has some book smarts, but has a little bit of street in them
You
as
want that
well.
balance.
Yeah, but that's what Kelly was. Kelly was that piece that brought a different type of dance into what they were already, which
Yeah.
was the breaking, and that's
Yeah.
when, and I don't know if you think this, breaking really started to take off. It became really hot in that mid '80s, going into
Yeah.
into the '90s. Breaking was really huge. Where, like you were saying, folks would you could go to almost any corner, depending, especially on the East Coast. It wasn't so much on the West Coast, but
Mm.
on the East Coast, because all up and
Then I used
down
to go to
from
the
what,
boardwalk.
from New York,
I used to
yeah,
go
from
to
New
Atlantic
York all the way down
Boardwalk.
to probably down to this area here in Baltimore. It was, it was breakdancing. It was all
Man,
about the breakdancing. It was all about DJs, and yeah,
all about in Midwest, in some parts of Midwest. But let
yeah,
me tell
some
you,
parts of the Midwest.
everywhere I would turn, if I went to Atlantic City on the boardwalk, there would be some cardboard. If in the
Was it?
neighborhood, if somebody wanted to show you or test their skills, they'd be trying to look for a box to break down so they could do that. Like that wasn't
Right,
something that was on TV. Like we could
right.
actually see it. I know I've seen a million times where I see people gathered around and somebody's in the middle with a bucket breakdancing. I mean, I've seen it so many times in my life in real time. I never thought that I would be part of that history because it was just regular stuff, just like arcade rooms, just like
Yeah.
arcade. Like that was just like normal living, right? So then also with breaking, there's an element of love. They start
Hmm.
falling in
Hmm.
love, Ozone and Special K. So they have that element there. And then, of course, they win all of these, they win. So even with having tuxedos on and kind of marrying the two types of dance, because if you think about jazz dance, you think about hip hop, and you think about all of these things, musically, that's what people are doing now too, like marrying the two.
Hmm.
And
Right,
Breakin'
right.
went on to have Breakin' 2, Electric Boogaloo, which came out um actually later that year. So they probably already did it. They already was like Money in the Bank. Why wait? So that came out in May. The first one I think came out in May. This one came out in December. So let's just quickly talk
It ain't
about
take them no time.
no
It
time.
ain't take
But
them
think
no time.
about it.
No time
If
to produce that movie, did they? They took
they
about
like
maybe a month. They Kendéll. They did one of Tyler Perry's movies. We gonna make a movie in 90 days, in 60 days, or 30 days.
they probably was like, you don't need no script, just do what you do.
You
Just do
know.
what you do. Y'all did what you did so well. We ain't even going to oversee. Just do what y'all do. So doing what they did, of course, they still had it break into break dance, break into, right? So with this, even the second one that they came out with, they upped the budget. So they gave them 3 million this time, and it made 15.1 million. So they was like, hey, I'm surprised it wasn't about 6 of them. Actually, I'm
Yeah,
surprised because
you're right.
they
You're right.
saw, but then I would like to say probably, and even Leela Rashawn was in the second one. So I wonder, in
Oh,
dancing,
okay.
so I wonder if that's how they met because they were married.
Mm.
Before she was married to Antoine Fuqua, um, she was
Yeah.
married to him.
How you going? I just,
Now you
yeah.
think that,
I still get bull thinking about that, man. I just,
yeah, yeah.
that's sunshine, man. That's
But
sunshine. How you going? How you
sunshine,
going?
that's
How you?
sunshine. I ain't never coming
How
home.
you?
I ain't
You
never
know?
coming home.
How you going to diss sunshine, man? I was just like, whatever.
Man.
So
And they like,
anyway,
well, she gained weight. I'm like, well, who didn't? I mean, she ain't 20 no more. She ain't 18 no more. She done live life. She done have babies. Well, she don't look the same.
Right.
Well, show me somebody to look exactly the same as they did 30 years ago. Show me
Right.
them.
I still think.
And didn't
Yeah, I
have
think
no
still think
surgery.
she's beautiful.
She
Yeah,
is.
she's still
Don't have
beautiful.
no
Right, she's
surgery.
beautiful. Yeah. Like
But you know,
whatever.
people get caught up in, well, this one looks like this and this one looks like that.
Yeah.
She had no work done. She allowed herself, her body to
To
be
be
how
to
it
be who
was.
she is. Yep.
So if you want to know, it's this on YouTube, on Soul Train's YouTube page. And I
Really?
discovered
Okay.
it last year. Last year it started. And when I tell you it's the most phenomenal, it's not even 30 minutes long. Some of them are 10 minutes long. Some of them, I think the longest might be 20 minutes. Let me tell you something. I was looking forward to them every week. They have something called When I Was a Soul Train Dancer. And
Oh,
it's
okay.
a
Okay.
small little documentary package that they get in 10 minutes. It's a lot that they get in 20. And the first couple of them, when they first started doing it, they were like maybe 5 minutes. They didn't have the full package, but still 5 minutes of power. Amazing. Then they started doing little illustrations and different things like that. And you'll be surprised how some of the people who started got their career in this business by dancing on Soul Train. Even Vivica
But they
Fox is
didn't.
Robbie
Did they pick?
Reed.
They didn't pick that show up, did they? American Soul, because I love that show. Was a really good show.
That was good. No, they didn't, but that was good. But check
That was
out.
a
I Was a Soul Train Dancer. Yeah, that was good.
that was a
That was
great
good.
show because it was about. For those that don't know, American Soul was about Don Cornelius
It was
and
good.
starting the show Soul
Yeah,
Train.
yeah, and that was good. That was
Yeah.
really good. And those young actors were amazing.
Yeah, they were amazing. And the dude that played Don Cornelius, I lied to you not, Kendéll. I got a
Yes.
picture. I'm gonna have to send it to you of me and my dad, and I'm a little kid. That young boy looks just like my father,
Well, your father was
just like
handsome because he's handsome.
had the bush, had the leather cut, everything. He looked just
Well, your father
like
was
him.
handsome.
I was like, I told I think I sent it to my sisters too. I was like, this dude looks just like Dad. I was
Wow. Wow. All the ladies like him. I always say, is it Sinke, something like that. All right, let's go to the final one. We're making good time. Krush grooving.
yeah,
Body
yeah.
moving. Krush grooving.
Yeah,
Macy,
this
you
what
still
is
on here? What's our favorite part of Krush Groove? See if because I don't think she said we forgot to tell her when we went right on, so I don't know if she heard it. What's our
okay.
favorite part of? I never even had this conversation with her, but one of my favorite parts, I said it earlier, is New Edition was in it. They were at the Disco Fever. They were part of the talent show, and they did the whole song. Did you get it yet? Did you get it yet? And Bobby was like, "Oh, look!" He's like, "Oh, building start to shake." Get it yet?
And you know that's because that was what that was 85. So
85.
they had just came out. They had just came out, didn't they?
They were probably out for a good 3 years because this is
Okay.
their 40th anniversary is this year. So they
Okay.
had just
Okay.
come out like a year or two before, but you know they was doing
Okay.
talent shows before they hit.
Right.
So they
Right.
had
Before
been
they actually
together
before they hit.
a
Right.
couple years. Yeah.
Right.
All
Right.
right. So Krush Groove had a young LL Cool J who was just signed. So this is loosely based on Russell Simmons' life. He's
That's a great
supposed to
thing.
be.
Yeah.
We had a young Blair Underwood just starting out in this business as well. I know I go back and see and look at some of the things like Blair Underwood was dancing. I forgot what movie he was doing, and it was like he was dancing or ballet. But Sheila E., I remember she said she didn't even want to. She wanted.
But Blair Underwood he's been out because I remember him, and I don't remember the movie you're talking about. I remember him from L.A. Law.
Yes. Yeah.
Because the L.A. Law,
Yeah.
and who? No, it was Denzel. Denzel was on Saint Elsewhere. Denzel was on
Yeah,
Saint
he was
Elsewhere.
with the
But
gap. He didn't even have his
yeah,
teeth. He didn't even
right.
have his teeth in yet.
Yeah,
Yep.
but
So
Blair Underwood was from L.A. Law because I used to love like watching L.A. Law,
yeah,
but him from there, and people sleep
yeah,
on him too, on Blair Underwood too because he's been out for a long, long, long time.
he
He's been around
does.
for a long time.
My daughter thinks he's mean. Like she still looks at him as mean when he was in a Tyler Perry movie, remember?
Oh yeah, as
And
a character, yeah,
he
yeah.
hit the
He
wife.
has played a
Like
lot of
he's
those type of characters though. He's played
even
that
in
type of character because do you remember
what's
the
the movie? I know what you're gonna say.
Asunder? There was a movie called
Yes,
Asunder. Was it Kim Fields that was in that movie with him?
I think so because that was one of them
No,
old
Debbie
TV.
Morgan. It was Debbie. Was it Debbie Morgan?
Might have been Debbie Morgan.
I
I
think it was
remember
Debbie
that.
Morgan. I
And
think it
he
was Debbie
also
Morgan.
played the abusive husband in the movie with my boy. Richard T. Jones was in it. The guy from Wire. I can't think of the name of it. Bubbles from the Wire.
Was it
Ooh,
it was called G or something like
G,
that?
G, my movie G. Yes,
Yeah,
he
yeah,
was
yeah.
doing the same thing in that movie too.
Right.
G is
So he yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, Bladen
So
played a lot of
he played a
villainous
lot.
type of guys, you
And he
know.
just left his wife for 30 years to marry
Yeah,
some.
I
Remember
saw
we
that.
talked
I think I
about that?
saw that.
And they ain't
Yeah.
waste no time getting married. But okay, so this movie came out October 25th, 1985. It was only 97 minutes. I remember going to the movie to see this. The budget was $3 million. This $11 million. This stars Sheila E., Run DMC, The Fat Boys, Curtis Blow, Blair Underwood, New Edition, LL Cool J. So the plot of this is Russell Walker, supposed to be Russell Simmons, has signed all the hottest acts to Crush Groove Records, including Run DMC, Dr. Jekyll, and Mr. Hyde, which was Andre Harrell's group. People don't know that. Rick Rubin produces the records. When Run DMC was hit with a hit record and Russell doesn't have the money to press the records, he borrows money from the street hustler. So he borrows money from the street hustler. At the same time, Russell and his brothers both are competing for the heart of the percussionist and singer Sheila E., also appearing in the film. And of course, was LL again, Beastie Boys. Shaka Khan song was in it. Debbie Harry song, the Gap Band. Members of the R&B group Full Force made a cameo, of course, is nothing other but bodyguards. They
The
always had them.
people actually sleep on Full Force, but they wrote a
Oh,
lot of songs that
a lot. Even
folks don't have
for
a
my
clue that
child.
they wrote. Yep.
Lisa, thanks for my child.
Yeah.
Cheryl Pepsi Riley.
Pepsi Brown.
Um,
Mm-hmm.
huh? What'd you
No,
say?
go ahead. Go ahead.
Oh, but yeah, man, Debbie Harry, um, they Full Force was the truth.
Yeah. Yeah. They
Full
they
Force
still
was
getting paid to this day
yep,
off of that
yep,
money.
yep.
So
When
I'm
I
like, yeah.
they're good. When I went to go see, I have to send you the video. When I went to go see New Edition get their Hollywood Walk of Fame star in LA or in Hollywood in 2017, there was like a VIP dinner that we went to the night before, and it was supposed to be the whole New Edition weekend. Like we see the premiere of the movie. Me and Basine actually saw it in DC in Chanel. And was that Robin? We seen it in DC before it came out, and then I think the next week I was going to LA, so I ended up
Mhm.
seeing that first part before it came out. And at the dinner, at the little VIP dinner, Bow-legged Lou was there, so I got a video, and he was like, "This is Kendéll." And then he said something, "Out in your ants," you know how he did the whole little thing, and he did the house party thing, and I forgot about that. I just came across the video. So
uh,
even the music that they had, and then
yeah.
you talk about house party, which we did on here,
Yep.
like people are still loving his character and their characters in there. Like people
Yeah.
sleep on the popularity of Force MDs. Force
Yeah, the
MD.
Force MDs. Oh, don't get me started on that. Yeah. Well,
Man, full
but the
force.
Force MDs. Yeah, man. Whatever.
Force MD, man, let me tell you, I used to make the slow jam tapes, right? Where you press the play and the record
Right.
when I was in 1985, and I'd be waiting, listening to Philly Station Power 99, and I would wait for Force MD's Tears to come on so I can record it for my tape. And even I still remember to this day, you can hear every time I hear Tears now, the ruffle of me trying to get my recorder in the beginning of the song. It was like Tears, and every time I hear it, I still think about I couldn't, because it wasn't clean. Because you gotta
Yeah.
wait until it comes on, then you rushing to try to do it. People don't know about
Yeah.
them two fingers. People
That's
don't know.
the. That's got to be that. Tears is one of my favorite Force MDs, but the other song Tender Love, I love Tender Love. Those are probably my
Man,
two favorite
okay.
Force MDs
I got one.
song, man.
I got one. Love is a house. You got the
Oh yeah,
key.
yeah, that's it. Yeah, absolutely, absolutely.
Take
But
me where I wanna be. Open up and
yeah,
let me into your heart,
that way.
baby.
And see, those were real. That was true R&B back then, just like what we're talking about now. And I know that a lot of the folks that might be watching have no clue about what we're talking about. But if you go and listen to the music of of those that were of this time, look up the music of Crush Groove, look the music of Beat Street and Breakin, and you'll
Mm-hmm.
get what we're talking about when we talk about the culture that we're talking about here. Go ahead, Kendall.
What color? No, I was just listening to you. Oh, I don't know if you lost him. But like Leroy was talking about the culture, when you think about the culture of um these movies, like that's our memory. This is
Yeah,
these are our childhood memories, really.
yeah, yeah,
So
yeah,
Crush Groove was another movie. And LL was 17 in that movie, but that was his first. He just was
yeah.
signed. That was his
That's what I say. This
first.
was most of them. This was them just coming out. I mean, Sheila E was probably one of the hottest because she had been out by then. With what was her song? The Glamorous Life.
The Love Bazaar. Yeah, the Glamorous Life, and then Love Bazaar was
Um,
in the movie.
yeah,
Love
yeah.
Bazaar.
So she was kind of hitting her peak. You got everybody that was Run DMC was in here, but everybody that was in this Crush Groove movie, they were a part of that hip hop culture.
Yeah,
I promise
yeah,
you, they were part of the hip
yeah.
hop culture. You know,
And when you
Fat
think about
Boys,
it, yeah, I
all
can't, because
all
LL,
of them.
that was the first time he did I Can't Live Without My Radio.
Mhm. Mhm. Mhm.
The Fat Boys were the first group to showcase human beatboxing. Let's get that clear. In the movie, the group originally referred to themselves as Disco 3. Remember that. It was not until a scene at the Italian buffet where the three boys took the phrase all you can eat, as we talked about earlier, to the next level, where they were trying to eat everything at the buffet. When the group realized they were really fat, they decided to give themselves the name Fat Boys, right? In reality, the name Fat Boys was suggested by the group's manager when he received a $350 hotel bill for extra breakfast ordered by the group on their European tour. So think about that. Like, they stated the obvious, y'all Disco 3, but y'all really fat boys. And that took off.
Yeah.
And remember, and we're going to circle back. So remember that Crush Groove came out in 1985. And because of their popularity, the Fat Boys, and because of that scene at the buffet with all you can eat, they were able to get Disorderlies 2 years
Yep.
later. They were the stars of the movie. Think about that. I
Yep.
mean, if you're a person that's casting and if you're their agent and you see the popularity of that, you pitched their movie. I wonder if their movie deal was pitched to them, or did somebody, like their manager, or did somebody reach out and like, you know what, this is a
Well, I'm
cool movie.
sure it was probably honestly. I mean, if I could guess, I'm thinking that the studio probably had the script and
Mm-hmm.
they saw Crush Groove and
Mm-hmm.
they thought that those guys would fit what it was that they were trying to do. So if you're someone who's looking to be in the entertainment industry,
Mm-hmm.
don't you have to keep putting your stuff out there. And I know you got your ear to the ground to all of this entertainment stuff, so I know you heard all the stuff about my boy Michael B. Jordan and all the stuff that went on with him and the ex classmate, right? And
Oh
one of the
yeah.
things that stuck out
Mm.
was they were teasing him about bringing his headshot to school with him. This is how passionate this young man was about what he was doing, how professional he was about what he was doing.
Yeah.
It's almost to the equivalent of like when I was in high school and I played basketball. I carried my basketball with me everywhere I went.
Yeah. Yeah.
I carry my basketball with me
Yeah.
everywhere. That's how passionate you are
Yeah.
about your craft and what you do. And that's how when he said that, it made me think about that. It's like
Yeah.
this young man at 12, 13 years old was that focused.
Yeah.
That was
That's
what he
deep.
wanted to do.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
and, and you got to understand that you keep doing you don't have to strike it, big the first time. Think
Yeah.
about his career.
Yeah.
He did The Wire.
Yeah.
He did All My Children. He
Yeah.
did Fruitvale Station, which I think was probably the movie that kind of put him
Okay.
on the map. That
As an adult
Fruitvale
actor.
Station is a powerful movie. But then he
Yeah.
goes on to do from Fruitvale. He goes to do I think he did Creed after that one. He got because of Ryan Coogler, the relationship he has with Ryan
Mm-hmm.
Coogler.
Mm-hmm.
He does Creed, but then Ryan Coogler gets Black Panther.
Mm-hmm.
Who did he cast in Black Panther?
Come on. And then
That
gave
that
right. Come on. And then he still gave him a little in Wakanda Forever. They still
right.
did a flashback. So he still was like, I'm gonna have you. And then Ryan Coogler was trying to do that. So he gave Michael B. Jordan the rights to direct this as well.
Exactly. Exactly. So don't despise the small beginnings or even the small roles. Those
Mm-hmm.
things that you get because
Mm-hmm.
they become a part of your resume. They become a part of what
Mm-hmm.
you do, and you
Mm-hmm.
never know who's gonna see
Yep.
you.
Yep. Talk
Never
it.
know who's gonna see you.
Talk it.
So don't
Talk it.
underestimate that.
Talk it.
And these movies, as you can see, take a look at the folks that we've talked about in these movies. And like Kendéll says, they still acting.
They still acting and they're still doing music.
Right. And still doing music.
I just saw Ron just still who did he just honored LL and he was
Mhm.
out he was there. LL is still performing and acting like a career. You think about that. You think about the Fat Boys, they were Prince Marky D, one of my favorite solo albums from the 90s. Is
Mhm.
soulful. It's
Okay.
it's singing on there, it's rapping on there. That was one of my favorite. It's still one of my favorite bodies of work. If you don't know Prince Marky D's solo stuff, I'm Leroy. You would love it. See if you can find it. I'm telling you,
Okay,
would
I'm gonna have
love
to pull it up.
it.
Okay.
Soul chase. It's a whole soul kind of vibe. You would love it. That is like
Okay.
I
Okay.
remember when I remember I say that later. I'll say that for next week.
But
But so we talked about Beach Street, we talked about Breakin, and we talked about Crush Groove, and we honorably mentioned Disorderlies with the Fat Boys, and that came out in 87. When you think about all of these movies and how hip hoppers, and I say that lightly, rappers, that whole culture sold seats in theaters, making millions and millions and millions of dollars. And they were able to transition from music and dancing and graffiti and rapping and, like I said, dancing into a hot commodity where it was acting. So think about now. LL's acting, Queen Latifah's acting, MC Light is acting, and I can list so many rappers who they were saying shouldn't be acting because it's going to dilute their rap when it made them much more successful in a $1 billion commodity. Will Smith, hello, Fresh Prince.
And that's been the thing, because even the movie that we talked about before, Brown Sugar, it talked about the evolution of the culture of hip hop, and
Made
like
you
you were
fall in love with
saying,
hip hop.
what we do next week about turning 50.
Mm-hmm.
And you see how, like you said, it went from a just a community thing where it
Mm-hmm.
was just inside our community to now being hip hop is worldwide, because nobody thought that it would be around 50
No,
years later, y'all. Nobody
no.
thought
They
that hip
think
hop
that
would be
hip
what it
hop
be
bebop.
around. Right.
No, no.
Nobody.
But they didn't think
Nobody thought
jazz
they
was going to be around. They didn't think the
right.
blues, they didn't think certain things were going to be around. They thought that they were faddish. And look now,
Yep.
you can't
Yep.
watch a
And
commercial without rap or
yep.
hip hop. You can't watch a runway with a fashion show that's not inspired by hip hop. You
Yeah.
cannot speak to someone in our generation or younger that doesn't use a hip hop reference or a culture reference. I still say dope. It is dope. You know, we still fresh to death. What? Like you can't even speak without using some elements of the culture in hip hop. It's going to come
And
out
that's
some type of
and
way.
that's how ingrained it is. And you mentioned one thing
Yeah.
too. Fashion is so it was so connected. I think about that. Out of hip hop came Fubu, came Sean John, came Fat Farm, came all of those elements. That's the though that when we talk about the culture,
Oh, we
that's
gotta
what
say
we
next
talk.
week. We gotta say that for next week. We gotta say that for
Yeah,
next week.
that's what we
It's good.
talking about. Yeah, that's
Yeah,
definitely gonna be what we talk about next week,
yeah,
because that's what we're talking about when we say this hip hop culture, y'all. It's
yeah,
more than just, like I said, those are just the three things that we talked about today. That's just part of it. The music, the graffiti art, the break dancing. That's just a piece of the
DJ.
DJing. That's
Mhm,
just a piece of it. Those are just small little pieces. We
mhm.
ain't even touched the other aspects of it, which I think
No,
is one of the reasons why it's still around. Hip hop is still
no,
around, is because
no.
how it has been connected to
Yeah,
those other aspects
yeah,
of of the community of the world and everything like
yeah,
that. So, and it just shows how dope we are, as you say, because you give us anything and we gonna make it do what it do.
yeah. So y'all, I'm gonna start promoting this. We're gonna start promoting this weekend, and we're gonna celebrate 50 years of hip hop. I gotta see if I can find my name belt. I'm gonna wear my bamboo earrings for this episode.
Yeah, bamboo
Fresh to death.
earrings.
I'll be fresh to
Standing
death.
on you were who LL was talking about, standing on the bus stop sucking on a
Sucking on the
lollipop, huh?
lollipop. Come on now. Come on. I'm telling you.
Around the way, girl.
Man, let me tell you something. And it's so much I want to say. I can't wait for y'all to know. But I will say this: my mom was like, "You're not getting no big old earrings. What's your name in it?" So what did I do? I waited till I was grown. I got about 6 pair of earrings with my name in it. I got 6
And
pair with my name. Man, I
I
got
ain't
my
gonna
name on everything. I had a
I
name
ain't
belt.
gonna lie. I
I
ain't gonna
didn't.
lie. I don't know how y'all carried those things in your ears, because that they had
Man,
to drag your ears down.
I
I
couldn't
was
wear
just
it then. My mom would not let me. And I bought my stuff with my own money. My name belt. I went down. I had my name belt. My name is Kendéll with 7 letters. They were spread right over here, man. But I couldn't get the big earrings. I wanted like my friend Tamia. She had like 10 pair of Lee jeans with her name on the butt. My
did
mom's like, you're not bringing attention to your butt. Your name ain't gonna be on the butt. And back then, this is what she said. And you ain't no boy. Like, you ain't gonna have all of these. You gonna dress. But I did. I had the jacket. Mine was like teal green. I had the jacket. I had the Lee jeans. I told you I just sewn in creases with my. We're
I'm
gonna talk about all of that
I'm
next week.
I know. I'm gonna take you way back, because I had and I wish I still had it. I had the sweat. It was an Adidas sweatshirt with the Run DMC on it.
Man, we're gonna talk about the Coca-Cola shirts. I remember having the fat shoelaces. No, we gotta save it. We gotta save it. Y'all gotta come back next week. Make sure if you're watching this live or the playback, make sure you tell your friends who love hip hop like Leroy and I do. I'm talking about the old school hip hop, right? The raw,
Yep.
the dusty, the grainy. We're talking about that. Tell them to join. We're going to start promoting this show this weekend. We're going to celebrate 50 years of hip hop. I'm so excited. This is something to look forward to. I like
Yeah.
those little pockets of happy. That this makes me happy. All right, Leroy, how are we going to end this show? What you got to say?
Now they need to go subscribe, click that bell, that notification bell on there. So because I'm still waiting to see that plaque back there. You know what I'm
Yeah,
saying? Get that plaque back there, y'all. So you got to subscribe, like, share, comments, and like we said, we always want to get your feedback of what you think about the movies that we've talked about. Especially movies like this, it just brings back so many memories that we had, and we hope that they give you some memories as well too. Oh, I remember that, or my mom used to tell me about that, or I remember being little and my mom used to play this record all the time. Now you get a little bit of the backdrop of those songs that we grew up. And just like we did when we were little, and our parents used to play the songs that we used to hear all the time from the 60s and the 70s, all of that music that was just so much part of our culture. It's not just about hip hop being a part of our culture, but like you said, jazz,
yeah,
blues. That's all of that is our culture, man. All of that
yeah,
is a part of who we are, and this just hip hop just added to it. Hip hop
yeah.
added to the culture and what we do, and so when you hear us, you get the excitement in our voices and everything like that. It's just that very thing. It's just because of how it made us feel. Back
Got it.
then, how it makes us still feel. You still get that same feeling today because you remember those songs. They still sound just as good today as they did back then. I ain't even gonna lie.
Man. And I got an idea on the flyer, what I want us. I gotta talk to you afterwards. And well, I talk to you later after I eat. And just y'all pray
Yeah.
when I don't bite my tongue. Y'all pray when I'm eating, I don't bite my tongue. I'm so hungry. But to God be the glory. I lasted all, and it's all good. That's what it's about. That willpower, and really, mind over matter and all of that. But yeah, I'm excited. I got an idea about this, how we're gonna advertise it. But yeah, come back next week, in the same time, in place of More Than Just a Movie, we're gonna celebrate 50 years of hip hop. And as you can see, me and Leroy are already excited. I'm excited. I got so many ideas going on in my head. Bye, y'all. Remember, you're a star. Don't allow anyone to dim your shine. Till next time. God bless. Peace. All right, Leroy. Beatbox
We
us
gonna
out of
talk.
here. Beatbox us out of here.
Absolutely. And we ain't even talk about the